Hello. Still pretending everything's fine, aren't you? You wear that word like a badge, like a sedative for your soul. It's fine. But you and I both know it's not. It never was. You say it's fine, the way a drowning man says, just a little water. You say it when the cracks in your smile start showing, when your dreams start whispering that maybe, just maybe, you've been lying to yourself longer than you've been breathing. See, the funny thing about fine is that it's a mask. It's the polite word for I'm falling apart. It's the lullaby you hum while your world quietly burns to ash. You build these little walls, don't you? Tiny, fragile barricades of routine and denial. You call it stability. I call it a waiting room for collapse. Because you can't hide from chaos forever. You can dress it up in success, drown it in small talk, bury it in deadlines. But it waits, patiently, like a shadow that remembers your name. And when it finds you, oh, it won't knock. It'll kick the door in and sit beside you with a grin that says, I told you so. That's when you'll understand. There's no growth in comfort, no awakening without agony. The butterfly doesn't bloom without first being a prison for itself. You've been taught to fear the dark, but that's where you evolve. Not under the spotlight, but in the silence between heartbeats. When the lies you tell yourself start to sound ridiculous, you call people crazy for talking to the storm. But the storm listens. It remembers who stopped running. Because here's the secret, darling. Unpredictability isn't danger. It's power. It's the moment you stop clinging to certainty and start playing with fire instead of fearing it. That's when you become something new. Something they can't define, can't control, can't label fine. You see, people worship light but forget what gives it meaning. The dark behind it. They cheer for saints who once walked through hell and boo the devils who are just too honest about it. But you've got both inside you. The halo and the grin, the savior and the saboteur, the whisper that says, let go, and the scream that says, survive. And if that terrifies you, good. It means you're waking up. Because nothing changes until the polite part of you dies. Until you stop saying, it's fine, and start saying, it's real. You can't evolve if you keep patching the cracks. You've got to break, beautifully, deliberately, so something raw and electric can crawl out from the pieces. That's where the truth lives, not in balance, but in contrast. So go on, say it one more time with that trembling smile. It's fine, and listen to how hollow it sounds. Now tell me, are you ready to stop being fine and start being alive? Ah, still here, are you? Good. That means the cracks have started to show. You can feel it, can't you? That itch behind your calm, that whisper between your ribs that says something's off. You've been holding it together so long you've mistaken the strain for strength, and you call it fine. Let me tell you a secret. Fine is the most dangerous word in the human language. It's the anesthesia of the soul, the tiny pill you take to keep the truth from screaming. Because the truth is messy, it's loud, it breaks things, and people like you, people who need control, they'd rather die quietly than live chaotically. You wake up, pour the coffee, scroll the lies, smile on command, and every cell in your body is begging to burn it all down. But you won't. You'll smile wider, you'll post brighter, you'll laugh harder, because it's fine. But here's the punchline. The longer you pretend, the hungrier your chaos becomes. It feeds on your restraint, it learns your patterns, it waits for the night you finally blink. And when it comes, oh, it doesn't just arrive, it erupts, The polite words evaporate, the mask slips, and suddenly you're not the one speaking anymore. Something deeper takes the mic. Something primal, raw, incandescent with truth. That's not madness, darling. That's you, unfiltered. That's what happens when you stop living to be liked and start living to be real. You've been tricked into thinking light is good and dark is evil. But look closer. The light blinds, the dark reveals. In the light, everyone's pretending. In the dark, no one has to. Do you see the joke yet? They told you to chase balance, but balance is just a polite word for stagnation. They told you to stay positive, as if shadows aren't part of your shape. But every saint had a monster whispering in their ear. Every monster was just a saint who finally stopped apologizing. You're both. You've always been both. The only difference is, one side of you is starving. And oh, how beautiful the hunger looks when you finally feed it. When you stop rehearsing your smile and let the truth crawl out of your throat, gasping and golden. When you stop fixing the mirror and finally shatter it. Because unpredictability, that's where you become art. That's where evolution happens. When the plan burns, when the pattern dies, when you stop saying, "It's fine," and start saying, "Let's see what happens." The world doesn't want you awake. It wants you predictable. Predictable people buy what they're told, believe what they're fed, and die without ever meeting themselves. But chaos is honest. It's the universe's way of shaking you by the shoulders and saying, "Wake up, you magnificent disaster. You're wasting your story. So go on, break the routine, cancel the performance, scare them, confuse them, smile at the wrong moment, cry at the right one, be terrifyingly alive." Because that's the punchline they'll never understand. The people who call you crazy will one day quote your words like scripture. They'll call it inspiration. They'll call it growth. They'll call it recovery. But you and I will know what it really was. It was the night you stopped saying, "It's fine." It was the moment you finally let the mask melt and saw that beneath all the pretending, beneath all the pressure, you weren't broken. You were becoming. And that's where it gets interesting. He laughs, soft, steady, unsettling. The kind of laugh that feels like it knows something you don't. Because once you stop fearing your own chaos, you stop fearing theirs. You stop bowing to their shoulds, their normal, their paper-thin definitions of sanity. And that, you're free, untamed, uncomfortable, unforgivable, but free. So tell me, my dear listener, are you still fine? Or have you finally realized that fine was the coffin they built for people who are too alive to fit inside? The light flickers to one last time. Silence stretches. Good. Then maybe you're ready to live. You feel that? That little tremor underneath your ribs. That's not fear. That's recognition. It's the sound of something old waking up in you. Something that remembers before you were polite. Before you learned to smile on command. You used to burn, remember? When you were a child, every question was a spark. You asked why, and the world told you to hush. You shouted no, and they called it attitude. You dreamed loud, and they called it unrealistic. So you learned the trick. Stay quiet, stay nice, stay fine. But the ember never died. It just waited. And now you're here, listening to a stranger in the dark because some hidden part of you finally whispered, maybe fine isn't enough. That whisper, that's where revolutions start. Not outside, with banners and noise, but inside, with the smallest question, what if I stopped pretending? The moment you ask that, the floor shifts. The story rewrites itself. Because once you taste honesty, even the tiniest drop, every lie becomes poison. That's what evolution feels like, not wings sprouting from your back, but walls collapsing around your heart. It's messy, loud, divine. You'll lose things, people will flinch, they'll say you've changed, and they'll be right. They'll call it a phase, a breakdown, a crisis. Let them. Every metamorphosis looks like madness from the outside. You're not losing control, you're shedding illusion. Control was the costume. Chaos is the naked truth underneath. And listen closely. There is a rhythm in chaos, a pattern even the mathematicians can't name. It's the rhythm of everything alive, everything honest, everything that refuses to stay in the cage of fine. So you'll start laughing at strange times. You'll find beauty in decay, comfort in contradiction. You'll look at the world's disasters and feel a strange electric clarity. The realization that collapse and creation are the same breath taken twice. That's duality. The saint and the sinner holding hands in your chest. The angel smiling with blood on its teeth. It's not about choosing sides. It's about realizing both are you. Most people never make it here. They stop at "I'm fine" and spend the rest of their lives defending a version of themselves that was built to survive, not to live. But you stepped past the line. You looked the storm in the eye and said, "All right, show me." And the storm smiled because it never hated you. It just wanted you awake. Now look around. The world you knew is still burning, slowly, beautifully. The headlines, the outrage, the noise. It's all the same fire. Everyone clutching their illusions like life rafts, too afraid to admit they're made of paper. But you can breathe in the smoke and find oxygen there. That's the gift of seeing both sides. You can laugh while it burns and still rebuild when the ash cools. That's power. Not dominance, not control, clarity. When you stop fearing the fall, you start to fly differently. You stop needing the map. You become the storm and the calm that follows it. So the next time someone asks how you are, don't say fine. Say becoming. Say molting. Say I'm burning away what doesn't belong. They'll stare. They'll laugh nervously. But a few of them, the ones who've heard the same whisper, they'll understand. They'll see the flicker in your eyes and nod like old conspirators meeting again after a long sleep. Because this isn't about darkness defeating light or chaos replacing order. It's about remembering they were never separate. The universe breathes in opposites. So do you. And if you can live there, in that impossible middle, between reason and madness, between fear and curiosity, then nothing owns you anymore. You don't need to be liked. You don't need to be right. You just need to be real. So take a deep breath. Look at the ruins you've been calling a routine. Smile at them. They were never prisons, just classrooms. And when the voice in your head whispers, "It's fine," smile wider and answer, "No, it's alive." The laugh fades to a low hum, the sound of footsteps receding. A final whisper trails off. Welcome to the other side of fine. You ever notice how silence gets loud when you stop pretending? How every heartbeat sounds like a question you can't unhear? That's the moment most people run back to the noise. They turn the music up, check the phone again, scroll until their eyes sting. Anything to drown out the hum of truth. Because the hum says, this is it. No script, no mask, just you. And that terrifies them. You've built your whole identity on the promise of fine. Fine jobs, fine relationships, fine weekends. You collect okays, the way a dragon hoards gold. But the treasure is empty, isn't it? You keep digging, keep decorating the cage, keep pretending the glow of your screen is warmth. But there's a part of you, the old feral part, that's still banging on the walls, laughing, It doesn't want your schedule or your composure. It wants the real you, the one who isn't afraid to break rhythm. The moment you listen to that laugh, you'll feel the first crack of daylight slicing through the lie, and it will hurt, because honesty always does. It burns like morning after years underground. But here's the strange miracle. The pain doesn't destroy you. It forges you. Every heartbreak, every collapse, every loss you swore would end you. Those were blueprints. You were never falling apart. You were being redesigned. When you stop flinching from that process, you realize evolution isn't gentle. It's demolition disguised as growth. You lose the pieces that don't belong, and what's left is sharper, truer, unapologetically you. So no, you're not broken. You're mid-transformation, and transformation is never polite. Look around. The world worships comfort. They build shrines to safety, but safety is a sedative, and too much of it makes you sleep through your own life. The people who changed the world, the artists, the thinkers, the madmen, they all woke up mid-dream and refused to roll over. That's what you're feeling now, the pull of something greater than comfort. It's not ambition, it's remembrance. You're remembering what it feels like to be alive without permission. You'll lose people here. They'll call you dramatic, unstable, intense. Smile at them. Intensity is just passion that stopped apologizing. And if they can't stand your fire, let them chase their own candlelight somewhere safer. Because this is the threshold. Once you cross it, you can't go back. Once you've tasted truth, lies turn sour in your mouth. Once you've seen behind the curtain, you can't pretend the show still works. And maybe that's the real joke. The world keeps selling illusions labeled as peace, and you finally stopped buying. So breathe. Let the ashes settle. There's no need to rebuild what was. You're not supposed to fit the old story. You're here to write the sequel. You'll stumble, sure. You'll doubt, rage, cry, laugh at the wrong time. Good. That's proof you're human again. That's proof the numbness wore off. So when someone asks how you're doing, don't say fine. Say awakening. Say under reconstruction. Say on fire and learning to dance in it. The rain slows. A breath of wind. The voice almost smiles. You've come this far. You've peeled back the layers, seen the gears turning beneath the grin. Now the only question left, the only one that ever mattered, is simple. What will you build from the ruins? Because you could rebuild the same house, hang the same curtains, call it normal again. Or you could step out into the storm and see how lightning feels on bare skin, unpredictable, untamed, alive. And when the world asks what happened to you, you can tell them the truth. I stopped being fine. I started being real. And here you are, still standing, still breathing through the smoke. You made it through the fire you were afraid would kill you. And it didn't. It forged you. Now the world looks different, doesn't it? Colors sharper, voices quieter. You see through the stage lights. You can spot the actors now, the scripts they cling to, the smiles rehearsed one too many times. You used to be one of them, another character in the polite tragedy called normal life. You said, I'm fine, so often it became your name tag. But fine was just a waiting room for truth. And now, truth has found you. Listen, there's no going back. Once you've tasted what's real, illusion tastes like dust. The world will keep spinning. Same noise, same arguments, same headlines. But you'll move differently now. Slower, sharper, unbothered. Because you finally understand. Chaos isn't the enemy, it's the teacher. Pain isn't punishment, it's initiation. The ones who survive aren't the strongest. They're the ones who stopped pretending they were safe. They learned to dance with uncertainty, to build homes in hurricanes, to laugh while everything burns because they know the ashes are fertile. And that's the paradox no one tells you. When you stop fighting the storm, you become it. And when you become it, you stop fearing what can't be controlled. You've seen both sides now. The angel who forgives, the demon who refuses to kneel. They're not enemies, they're balance. And balance, my dear listener, isn't peace. It's motion. So when you walk back into the noise, don't hide your scars. Don't shrink your laughter. Let them see what it costs to wake up. Let them see what it means to burn beautifully. Because one day, someone will look at you, broken and radiant, and they'll whisper, "How did you survive?" And you'll smile that quiet, dangerous smile and say, "I stopped saying it was fine." A pause. The rain stops. The hum fades. Only the heartbeat remains. That's it. That's the truth they're afraid of. That the end was never destruction. It was transformation. So congratulations. You made it. You're no longer fine. You're free. Don't move. Don't speak. Just listen. You feel that shift, don't you? That quiet imbalance in the air, like someone changed the rules while nobody was watching. That's not paranoia. That's power finally coming home. You switched roles mid-game, and now they're the ones begging for clarity they never gave you. They used to talk in riddles to keep you dizzy. They spoke in half-truths, controlled the tempo, made sure you were always one step behind. They fed you crumbs of approval and called it connection, and you played along, smiling, nodding, pretending not to see the strings. You studied the illusion until you could build your own. Then one night, something cracked. You stopped asking why they hurt you and started asking how they built the cage. That's the moment the game inverted. Because once you understand the architecture of control, you don't need to destroy it. You just start moving the walls. Now the same people who prided themselves on mystery are begging you to explain what's happening. They want transparency. They want reassurance. They want you to hand them the certainty they stole from you, piece by piece. But clarity is a luxury reserved for the honest, and they've run out of currency. You didn't scream for justice. You learned their language and whispered it back louder. You mastered their tone, their timing, their favorite manipulations, and you rewired them into strategy. Every tactic that once crushed you became ammunition. Every lie you believed became a map. You stopped bleeding and started mirroring. That's the real horror for them. Realizing that the ghost they made learned how to haunt on purpose. They don't understand your calm now. They call it coldness, detachment, arrogance. But that calm is evolution. It's clarity, sharpened by pain. It's the silence of someone who finally understands how the storm works. They used to think you were predictable. Now you are a paradox. Too kind to be cruel, too dangerous to be dismissed, saint and psychopath, teacher and threat. They can't categorize you, and that uncertainty is the punishment. You don't chase, you orbit. You don't beg, you analyze. You don't react, you respond with precision. You let them drown in the confusion they once used to keep you small. And oh, how they panic. They replay every conversation, searching for the switch. They dissect your tone, your pauses, your smile. They call it mixed signals. But that's not confusion, that's karma in high definition. Because now you're the riddle. You became what they pretended to be. Unreadable, untouchable, necessary. And you didn't even need revenge. You just needed to evolve. Understand this. Clarity was never supposed to come from them. They kept you disoriented because focus would have revealed the weakness behind their mask. They were never powerful. They were just the organized noise. And the moment you learned to hear the pattern, the music stopped. Now they ask for honesty, for closure, for peace. But you owe them nothing. You already gave them everything when you believed their illusions. They taught you how to lie, and you used the lesson to tell the truth. Perfectly, mercilessly, word by word. You don't need to raise your voice anymore. Your silence does the talking. You don't need to prove your worth. The absence of your approval bankrupts them faster than any insult could. This is the part where the villain becomes the mirror. The part where the audience finally realizes they were rooting for the wrong side. You didn't switch roles to dominate. You switched roles because evolution demands balance. And balance is brutal. You are the storm that learned patience, the fire that learned precision. The light that remembered it was born from darkness. So when they reach out now, trembling, confused, asking, "What happened?" you smile, because the answer is simple. Nothing happened. You just stopped playing the part they wrote for you. You became the author. And authors don't explain their endings. You can almost hear the static now. That faint buzz that fills the room when people realize the script is no longer theirs. They look at you differently. The same mouths that once fed you riddles now stammer. The same eyes that once tracked your every move can't hold your gaze for more than a second. Because the truth isn't loud. It's surgical. And you've turned it into an instrument. They used to own the tempo of your heartbeat. They trained you to doubt every instinct, to crave permission for existing. Every gesture of theirs was a performance of control. Every silence was a leash. You learned to dance on eggshells so well they forgot you were learning choreography. Now you've changed the rhythm. They don't recognize the music anymore. They call it chaos. But it's just you, finally moving in your own time. And the irony? They can't survive outside the very fog they created. They wanted you lost, but the map you built from pain leads only one way: out. You never told them when you left the game. You didn't announce it, you just stopped reacting. That's when the balance inverted, because the moment you stop reacting, manipulators lose oxygen. They need your confusion, like lungs need air. And you cut the supply. Now they call your distance cold. They call your composure arrogance. But what they're really saying is, you don't need me anymore. And that terrifies me. You don't need to explain either. Explaining is how they reeled you in before, making you justify your own clarity. You learned that explanation is just the slowest form of surrender. Now your silence is the full stop at the end of their manipulation. You watched the pattern for so long, you became the pattern breaker. You studied the stage, memorized their lighting, and walked off mid-scene. The story didn't end. It just lost its director. You can see it in their faces now. The flicker of panic behind the practiced charm. They used to be the teacher, the savior, the guide. Now they're the student, begging for answers you already burned. You don't even feel anger anymore. That was the hardest part to explain to yourself, because the world taught you that power comes from rage, that strength needs volume. But real power is quiet. Real strength doesn't announce itself. It waits. You became the storm that learned to whisper. They can't stand that. They mistake stillness for weakness because they only understand chaos as control. They forgot that the ocean looks calm right before it drowns everything. They built their lives on shadows, on misdirection, on keeping others guessing. But you turned guessing into an art form. You became so unreadable that even truth itself looks at you for guidance. They used to ask questions to trap you. Now they ask them to survive. They want clarity, but they can't stand what it feels like when it's returned unfiltered. They wanted the truth on their terms, not the version that shows them their reflection. You can feel their desperation, can't you? That frantic tone behind every apology. They don't want forgiveness. They want access. They're not sorry for the pain. They're sorry for the silence that followed. Because your silence doesn't echo. It erases. You didn't erase them out of cruelty. You erased them out of necessity. You stopped bleeding for people who liked the color. You stopped pouring explanations into the mouths of those who drank only to stay thirsty. You stopped proving that you were good when goodness was never the currency. Obedience was. And now they're gasping in the same fog they once guided you through. They're the confused ones. They're the ones asking, what changed? And you don't even need to answer. Because sometimes clarity isn't something you give. It's something you become. You became the paradox they can't resolve. You're the calm that makes them nervous, the smile that keeps them guessing. You're light that learned how to burn without apology. They thought they could keep you predictable, manageable, digestible. But you learned the oldest secret in existence. Control isn't power. Unpredictability is. Because the moment someone can't predict you, they can't possess you. The moment they can't categorize you, they can't control the narrative. You are now the glitch in their script, the variable that refuses to be solved. You've become the question mark they can't delete. And every time you walk into a room, they remember. The balance has shifted. The hierarchy is gone. The puppet cut its own strings and started writing its own play. They'll call you ruthless now. They'll call you heartless, manipulative, unrecognizable. But those are just the names people give to those who stop being useful. You didn't become cruel. You just stopped serving the comfort of others. You've become the evolution of your own pain, and that, more than revenge, is what terrifies them. Because you've proven that suffering isn't the end of the story. It's the mutation that makes you untouchable. You don't hate them. You don't even think about them. You've outgrown the ecosystem they need to survive. They'll still watch you. They'll dissect your movements, your tone, your silence, desperate to find the version of you that used to need them. But they won't find it, because that version died quietly one night when you realized you didn't have to win their game. You just had to leave the table. That's the real victory. Not revenge, not dominance, freedom. You switched roles mid-game, yes, but not to become them. You did it to become free of them, and now the same clarity they withheld from you has become their torment. They taught you confusion. You taught them consequence. They called it manipulation when you did it better. You've mastered the paradox of power, that the less you need, the more you own. That silence screams louder than justification. That indifference is the most expensive form of peace. So now when they come knocking, pleading, apologizing, rewriting history, you don't open the door. You don't even answer. Because you know the truth. You were never meant to play their game forever. You were meant to end it. And that's what terrifies them most. That you didn't just survive their maze. You became the architect of the exit. You can feel it now. That strange calm that comes when the world finally realizes it can't move you anymore. The same people who once fed on your uncertainty are whispering about your distance, calling it cold. But it isn't coldness. It's clarity. It's the temperature of truth. It burns only those who lived off the warmth of your confusion. They don't say your name with arrogance anymore. They say it like an omen. You became the one they invoke when they want to warn each other about what happens when manipulation meets awareness. You are living evidence that no illusion, no performance survives long against someone who learns to see. You remember the moment it clicked, don't you? That single instant when their words stopped sounding wise and started sounding rehearsed. When every "I was just trying to help" translated to "I was trying to control." When every silent treatment stopped hurting and started telling you exactly who was weak. That was when the mask shattered. Not theirs, but yours. Because you stopped performing innocence, and innocence stopped being a goal. They called it ego when you started enforcing peace. They called it arrogance when you stopped apologizing for boundaries. They called it revenge when you finally decided to live. But none of this is revenge. It's reclamation of energy, of self, of narrative. You were never meant to stay in the role they cast for you. The scapegoat, the fool, the student, the savior. You were all of it once because they needed you to be predictable. But you learned. You learned that predictability is just pre-approved obedience. You switched roles, and that's the part they can't compute. You didn't just change the game. You changed the axis. Now they spin around you, dizzy with confusion, choking on questions you no longer bother to answer. Because the moment you stop giving people clarity, you become their storm. It's ironic, isn't it? They used to love your empathy until they realized empathy in the hands of someone self-aware is indistinguishable from X-ray vision. Now they can't lie without seeing the reflection in your eyes. They can't play the victim without flinching at their own script. You don't need to expose them. You just let them talk. The truth leaks from their tone like oil from an old machine. You've become the quiet they can't fill. The silence after the lie. The breath that follows the panic when manipulation fails. There's power in that, and you can feel it. The gravity of presence that doesn't ask for permission. That's the part they hate most, that you're no longer performing humanity in a way that flatters theirs. You've learned that kindness isn't always gentle. Sometimes it's the refusal to engage. You don't chase explanations anymore. You study reactions. You don't demand closure. You create distance. You don't break rules. You make systems obsolete. That's evolution, not in biology, but in energy. They never taught you how to handle it because people like them only understand control, not transformation. But you were built different. You were built to outgrow. Every lie they told you became a stepping stone. Every betrayal became a data point. You didn't heal in the light. You adapted in the dark. That's what they'll never admit. They underestimated the intelligence of your pain. They thought pain would shrink you. They didn't know pain could teach. Now look at them, walking carefully, afraid to trigger the version of you that sees too much. They edit their words, their tone, their behavior. You turned their own tactics into a mirror they can't escape. They don't fear punishment. They fear recognition. They can't manipulate someone who doesn't crave approval. They can't gaslight someone who trusts their perception. They can't confuse someone who finds peace in uncertainty. That's why you win, not through control, but through detachment. You no longer fight for power. You are power. You no longer chase truth. You are truth. You no longer beg for clarity. You became the clarity. They'll tell stories about you now. Some will call you ruthless. Some will call you dangerous. Let them. People who worship comfort will always call freedom a threat. Because you are what they fear most. The proof that awareness cannot be unlearned. Once you see the strings, the puppet show dies. Once you step behind the curtain, the magician's tricks look sad. You didn't ruin the illusion. You outgrew the need for it. And that's why they crumble when they face you. You're not angry anymore, and that's what breaks them. They can handle your rage, they can weaponize your pain. But your neutrality? That's radioactive, because neutrality means the game is over. You don't chase, you don't argue, you don't correct, you just exist. And that existence rearranges rooms, bends energy, rewrites hierarchies. Because you learned how to stop matching frequencies that diminish you. That's the paradox of it all. The same clarity they mocked you for chasing has become the labyrinth they can't escape. They wanted you begging for understanding. Now they're the ones standing in the fog, begging for a map. You hold the map in your hands. And for once, you don't offer it. Because this was never about revenge. It was about return to self, to sanity, to sovereignty. You didn't become their opposite. You became their reflection corrected. They don't understand it, but deep down, they know. You were never just a player. You were the reset button disguised as hope. You switched roles mid-game, and now the architects of confusion are praying for clarity in the empire of silence you left behind. They wanted a pawn. They built a prophet. They wanted compliance. They created consequence. So let them talk. Let them scramble for meaning. Let them drown in the noise they once ruled. Because you finally remembered what they worked so hard to make you forget. You were never playing their game. You were learning how to end it. And now, look at the board. Pieces scattered. Players vanished. The crowd that once laughed at your confusion now whispers your name like a warning. You don't gloat. You observe. Because this isn't victory, it's evolution. They wanted you to chase closure, but you became it. They wanted you to explain, but explanations are for those still hoping to be understood. You moved beyond hope, beyond fear, beyond needing to prove that you were ever right. They crave clarity now, the same clarity they weaponized against you. But clarity doesn't answer summons. It arrives once, speaks once, and walks away, so you leave them with silence. Not out of malice, but mastery. Because the final move isn't rage, it's peace. The kind of peace that feels like judgment to anyone still pretending. You switched roles mid-game, and in doing so, you ended it. Not with fire, not with revenge, just the quiet certainty of someone who finally knows. They can't play you anymore when you've stopped playing at all. The board's quiet now. No applause, no noise, just the faint hum of something finished. They're still waiting for a reaction, still checking for the spark of the old you. But there's nothing to find. You don't need to prove you won. You don't even need to keep the trophy. The silence is the trophy. It's the sound of balance, returning. They wanted control, and you gave them clarity instead. They wanted chaos, and you gave them calm. They wanted a villain, and you became a mirror. So let them rewrite, let them twist, let them whisper. They can only describe what they can no longer touch. Because when you switched roles mid-game, you didn't just outsmart them, you outgrew them. And that's the ending they'll never understand. You don't win by playing louder. You win by walking away so completely that even the echo sounds like peace.